Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Reed, and welcome to Storytime. Today we're going to be reading some Idontworkherelady stories, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Never judge a book. I just joined the Reddit family, and this is my first post. I'm old, like in my 70s old, but my wife said that some of my stories might be entertaining. This is something I witnessed about 10 years ago. Old Lady and Big Bully. I was shopping at a store with a big bullseye logo. I noticed this old lady, looked to be in her late 60s, who was just going about her business. I noticed because she held herself very upright and with a lot of confidence, though she was only about 5 feet tall and 100 pounds, if she was an ounce. She had on a nice red blouse and tan pants, which turned out to be a bad fashion choice for this store, as you will soon see. As I passed by, we nodded to each other and started making my way to the luggage and bags to look for a new backpack for myself. After a couple of minutes of looking, I heard raised voices and glanced over my shoulder to see the old woman in a heated exchange with a middle-aged man, Big Bully, twice her size. He was talking very loud and calling her awful names, the B word and worse, and telling her that just because she was old didn't mean that she could ignore customers. She was, I imagine, trying to explain that she didn't work there but couldn't get a word in edgewise since the Big Bully was refusing to let her talk. I started to walk over there to see if I could help, but soon saw that my help was not needed. Big Bully actually had the gall to grab her by the shoulder and give her a shake. I will never forget what happened next. Old Lady grabbed his wrist, twisted it behind him in some kind of martial arts move, kicked him behind his knee, which made him collapse onto his knees. She then had his arm behind his back with his hand in what looked like a very painful position that apparently he couldn't escape from. By then, I was close enough that I heard her softly tell him, "Look, I said I don't work here, and I will break your friggin'," she didn't say friggin', "arm if you try to touch me again. Now, do you understand?" He started to struggle but gave up when she elevated his pinned arm a little and he cried out in pain. She said, "I asked if you understood." He nodded his head and she said, "Now, are you going to be a good boy and leave me alone?" He nodded again, and she released him. He knelt there on the floor for a minute, rubbing his wrist and looking like any full-grown man would look if they just had their butt handed to them by a little old lady. Contrite and embarrassed, she simply walked away and continued shopping. He finally got up and speed-walked out of the store. I caught up to her and asked her if she was all right, as if. She smiled sweetly and said, "I can't stand bullies." We talked for a minute and she told me that she took self-defense classes at a nearby senior center and she learned to take care of herself a long time ago and refuses to be bullied. Like the title says, you can't judge a book by its cover, so you don't mess with harmless-looking little old ladies. They might just kick your butt. I hope you like this post. I have lots of stories that I might share if you care to hear them. Man, I sure love it when 60-year-old ladies go to town on the youngins, man. Old Lady mistakes mugger as employee. I work for a convenience store that has a strict always comply with muggers policy. I think because it's cheaper for them to deal with losing whatever's in the register than fighting a suit from an employee hurt defending it. I've worked here off and on for the last 5 years and I've been in the store for 6 robberies. They're usually pretty straightforward. Guy comes in, "Give me the money." We do. They leave, we call the cops don't do anything. We have cameras, but this neighborhood has such bigger problems they never follow up on petty theft. One of those times, though, the kid didn't wear a mask, just a hoodie. Comes in with the hood up, young kid, couldn't have been more than 18 to 20. He paces around for a while, I guess trying to get his nerve up. I figured he was an underage kid trying to work up the courage to buy some beer at first. It was really early in the morning and we were the only people in the store. He approaches the register and says he has a gun, doesn't pull it out, was probably bluffing, and that he won't use it if I just give him money. Talking all tough about, "Don't try anything today, I'm not the one," etc. I pop open the register and he jumps behind the counter to take the money out. As he's doing this, an old woman comes in. Now, I was getting really nervous because I didn't want the old lady to be in a dangerous situation, but before I could react, she recognizes the kid. She runs up to him and goes, "Oh, Noah, hello dear, how are you?" The kid just freezes behind the counter, hands full of cash. She's older and I guess deaf, so she's shouting, I didn't realize you'd gotten a job. Good for you, dear. You know, I just saw your mama the other day and she didn't even mention it. He's like, no, I don't. But she isn't listening. Your mama never tells me anything. I don't work. Don't interrupt me, hun. Anyways, your mama never tells me anything. And she's just chattering on and she starts shopping. I'm just standing there, frozen, waiting to see how this plays out, with the guy still behind the register with me. The kid was almost a foot taller than me, and I don't want to get into an altercation if I could help it. She goes through and she's shopping and she goes, Noah, hun, could you help me reach this, please? And he's like, I don't. And she's like, what are you going to do? Make me beg here? So he goes over and, dead serious, starts helping her get things from high shelves. She's like, is this really the best price you've got for this? And he's like, yeah. While he's doing this, I call the cops. I think he knows I must have been doing that because he's beyond antsy. At one point he tried to bell, but she was like, hold on, don't clock out yet. It'll just be a minute. I want to see you at work. This is so exciting, you're all grown up. So he's standing there awkward and panicked, trying to make a decision. Eventually she goes to check out and I scan her items, keeping an eye on him. She goes, oh no, can Noah check me out? He's my friend's son. I didn't know I was visiting him at work. This is so exciting. Wanting to keep things cool until she was out of the store, on the off chance the kid did have a weapon of some kind or wasn't stable, I just stepped aside and let him check her out. He didn't really know how to use the scanner or anything, but he got through it. She leaves. Once she's walked out, he runs out of the store and jumps into a car. He didn't get any money from us. It was another 20 minutes before the cops got there, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But that was the most memorable robbery for me as robberies go. Not sure if this story fits for this sub, but when I saw the sub, I had to share this one. I mean, he technically was working, kind of, just not for us. Yeah, this kid either realized that that was a close call and he should turn his life around, or that he should probably start wearing masks. One or the other. He glared at me. I used to work at Ulta. I would wear all black and a name tag. It was in the same shopping center as a Walmart. I would go there to pick up lunch often. I went over on my lunch one day and an older gentleman stopped me and asked me where to find a certain kitchen item. I said, I'm sorry, sir. I don't work here. He glared and said, you have a name tag, you must work here. I said, oh no, I work at Ulta about 3 stores down. He said, fine, if you don't want to help me, I'll find your manager. I ran away. When I went back to check out my lunch items, I saw him with a woman, who I guess was the manager, and he motioned towards me and I just pretended I didn't see him and paid for my stuff and left. People just see what they want to see. Not extremely crazy of a story, but still annoying. I mean, Walmart employees do not wear all black. I would have held up my name tag and said, they started spelling Walmart differently. U-L-T-A? Whoa. I have a clipboard. Bit of background. I'm usually in my government-issued uniform or jeans, looking very teenage-ish when I'm out and about. So looking smartly dressed is almost never happening. However, I have something special coming up and went to Torrid to get a nice business-esque outfit. I felt pretty, so I changed from government uniform into outfit and went out to get grocery shopping done. Now, I use e-meals and like to print out the grocery list so I can add in prices and keep a running total. To make this easier, I use a clipboard and a mechanical pencil. A few people give me props for this and most of course ignore me, which I prefer. However, I'm posting here. So, cue me being at the local Walmart where a few items I keep track of prices are cheaper than Kroger. Standing there with my clipboard, I'm dressed in my pretty outfit, feeling semi-confident and rocking YouTube SCP stories on my earpiece. I'm ignoring almost everyone around me and looking for a bag of frozen peas. It looks like someone took out all the bags and just chucked them back into the freezer and hoped the door would close. Finding a different bag, I stepped back and consulted my grocery list. Changed to my second page, I chuck the bag into my cart and make a note on the page. Delving back into the frozen mess, I finally make a noise and start separating the bags in their proper spots. Muttering on how people should have been ashamed of themselves, every so often I toss a bag I need into my cart. That's when I hear him. Just gonna ignore a black man? Stupid idiot doesn't know her betters. Pulling back a bit, I glance to one side. Oh, going to pay attention to me now? Me? Looking back to my cart, I just look at the older guy standing there and giving me a vile look. Who? I felt like my mind had blue screened. You, stupid idiot, just ignoring those who need help. I'm sorry? Still confused, I let the door close behind me. Now, where is this frozen item? I don't know, Of course you wouldn't want to tell me, you racist idiot. His voice had gotten raised and a couple of people look over, but no one is doing anything. Sir, I was starting to feel uneasy. Only my cart was separating us and you could feel this guy's angry. I don't care. Now where is this item? I don't know. I don't work here. As if by a shining light, my saving angel turned the corner and let out a bellow that could make any kid scatter. She was shorter than me. I'm 5'5", hair under a proper Sunday hat, and a purse that could knock a disobeying kid back at 20 paces. Name, what in the Lord's good graces are you doing to that child? Well, she looked like she worked here with the list and all. The man looks like he knows the wrong word was going to put him under the doghouse. That's her grocery list, you right fool. Doing it the way her nan trained her. Her voice seems to change to another person as she looks at me. I'm sorry, sweetie. Forgive that fool. Good idea to use a clipboard. Keeps the writing neat. Yes, ma'am. I'm almost squeaking as I certainly knew I couldn't take this fierce mama's wrath. I don't know what he's looking for. I just needed peas. She glances at the still messed shelves, plucks open the other door, and by magic, hands me the bag. There we are now. Now you better get off so those don't thaw. And so lovely you look too. Be blessed, dear. Yes, ma'am, thank you. Your hat is lovely. I grab my cart and back away as she gives me a smile before it vanishes as she looks back to her now shrinking beau. I don't know what trouble he got in. I have a feeling he's not going to make that mistake again. It's always the little women with Sunday hats on. They are the absolute best. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the stories we have for today. If you liked what you heard, subscribe for more content because it's coming out daily. Anyways, thanks for listening, and I hope you have the most amazing day. Goodbye.